Hi there, I am going to walk you through the annual budget spreadsheet so that you can see how all of the different tabs work and how they interact with one another. So you will receive two different copies of the annual budget spreadsheet. You have the choice to use this pink and purple version, or you can use the blue and green version. They're set up exactly the same. The only difference is the colors. So just choose the one that you like best and go with that one. I'm going to show you the example on this pink and purple one. So if you happen to make your copy of the spreadsheet and for some reason Google glitches and it's showing you that it's view only, all you need to do is go up to File, and then you can go to Make a Copy right here, and that will make your own fresh copy and you will be able to edit it. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but sometimes Google does glitch, and that's how you fix it. I want to say right from the get-go that you will only want to type in the white cells that are within these tables that I have created throughout the spreadsheet. The reason for that is that sometimes in the white space around the tables or in these shaded areas here, there are different formulas, and if you would type or delete or mess with those areas, it would make the spreadsheet not work correctly. So you will want to stick to the white cells within these tables. One area that you can change is this currency. If you are not using the US dollar, you can just come to this cell right here, and let's say we're using the British pound. You can put that in there, and you can see that that changes throughout the entire spreadsheet. So I am using the US dollar, so I'm going to change mine back. And then again, you can see the dollar symbol comes back, and that will setting that once on this setup page here will set that for you for the whole entire spreadsheet. Speaking of this setup tab, this is where you are going to want to start. This is where you put your information for pretty much every other tab. And so you are going to want to begin here and enter all of your info. So you can enter some income. Let's say I'm going to just enter my paycheck here, and the budgeted amount is $2,000. There is room to enter a bunch of variable expenses, and your variable expenses are things like groceries, eating out, gas for your car, clothing, entertainment, that sort of thing. So you can enter the description, so groceries, and then a budgeted amount for that. Let's just say 500, and let's say eating out, we're going to budget 200. So we just need our description and our budgeted amount here. Same goes for monthly bills. So these are the things that you pay each and every month, like utilities or your cell phone bill, or any subscriptions you might have. So let's say I'm going to pay my water bill, and that is going to be due on the first of the month, and I'm going to budget $100 for that. And let's say I'm going to pay for Netflix, and I'm going to pay that on the 15th of the month, and I'm going to budget $25 for that. And you can continue and add the rest of your monthly bills and variable expense categories and income, etc. Now, you notice that in this table here, I specifically noted that this was for monthly bills. So these are going to be ones that show up in your monthly tabs each and every time. If you have bills that are due quarterly, or like you have an Amazon subscription that you pay annually or something like that, you are going to put those in a different section all the way down here, this light purple section at the bottom. So let's say, for example, that I know our trash bill is only due once every 3 months. So let's say I'm going to budget $100 for that in January. And you can see when I entered the budgeted amount, this due column turned a color. And now I know I just told you not to type in the cells that are colored, but this is the one exception, this non-monthly bill section. I have that do that. So it reminds you that you need to put a due date in. Even if you just put the first of the month for all of them, that putting in a due date is kind of the indicator to the spreadsheet that, like, hey, there's a bill here that you need to put in only on certain months, and that will only work if you have a due date. So for these non-monthly bills, whether they're quarterly, whether they're yearly, whether they're twice yearly, make sure you're always putting in a due date. So if I put in $100 in April as well, you can see it turn purple, and I need to make sure I put a due date in there. All right. So these are bills also that are recurring, but happen not necessarily every single month. And this gives you some flexibility. So you can put in exactly when you're going to pay them, as opposed to your monthly bills that happen every month that you're going to put in up here. So that's the difference. Okay. So we put in our income, our variable expenses, our monthly bills, and our non-monthly bills. A couple other things we might want to put in here is savings. So let's say I have a savings fund for vacation, and I'm going to put in $200 a month for that. And let's say I have a Christmas saving fund, and I'm going to put in $150 a month for that. Right now, we're just talking about the budgeting part, so I'm only going to talk about these first two columns. We are going to come back to the rest of these columns in just a bit. I'm going to do the same thing for the debt portion here. So let's say maybe I have a credit card bill that is due every month on the 2nd. I'm going to budget, let's say, $300 toward that, and let's say I have a student loan that's due every month on the 17th, and I'm going to budget $450 toward that. Again, I'm only focusing on the budget part right now, so I'm just going to use this part of the spreadsheet before this line, and I'm going to come back and talk about this second half in a little bit. Okay, so this is a very sparse budget. I've just put in a few examples here so that we can see what one of our months looks like when it's populated. So you can see down at the bottom of the page here, there is a tab for each month: January, February, March, April, May, June, etc. And so let's just go into January, and you can see from the information that we put up on the setup tab, it has already populated all of our information for us. So it put in the income that I entered, it put in our variable expenses, monthly bills. Since the trash was due in January, it did pull that non-monthly bill over here for us. It pulled our savings here, our debt over here. And so once all of that is input in the setup section, it's automatically transferred over here. You don't really need to touch this top part unless you want to check these things off when you pay your bill, which is totally optional. When you actually pay the water bill, or when you buy groceries, or when you get your paycheck and you want to enter it, you are going to enter all of those things down here at the bottom in this transaction tracker. So let's just say this is January, so I'm going to say it's January 1st. I'm going to say I got my paycheck today, and it was the full $2,000 that I budgeted for. And so then I need to choose the category that belongs to. My paycheck belongs in income, and my subcategory will be paycheck. And you can see once I put in that information, I go back up here to the income category, you can see my actual amount has updated to $2,000 because I got paid. So that's where we're going to enter our income. That's also where we are going to enter any other transaction that we have throughout the month. So let's just say on the 2nd, I went grocery shopping. I spent $200. So I know my grocery shopping is in my variable expenses, and I'm going to choose groceries. And again, I can go up here under my variable expenses. You'll see I budgeted $500. I actually spent $200 so far, and so I have $300 remaining for the rest of the month. The spreadsheet does all the math for me. So no matter what item you're paying, or what the money is coming in, or if you're making a contribution to your savings, you are going to enter all of those down here. So let me just enter one more. I am going to put in a monthly bill. We said Netflix was one of them. Oops. I'll put $25, and that goes into monthly bills and Netflix, and that arrives up here. Now, the only thing as I mentioned, that you might possibly want to do. So we said we budgeted 25, we spent 25, that came through. The only thing that you need to do up here is check it off whenever you pay that, and that's optional. I just get kind of satisfaction off of checking things off my list there. So you can do that, but otherwise, all of this will be automatically populated for you from the other parts of the spreadsheet. So a couple other things that I want to show you on here. There are some charts at the top. This one is going to show you your budgeted spending, which is in the purple. That's what you've budgeted in each of these categories. And then your actual. So you can see we budgeted for $2,000 of our income. We actually spent we actually got $2,000 in income. So those show up right here for us. Same with our other categories. Over here, once you enter in more of your spending, this will start to populate even more, but it shows you a breakdown of your expenses. So far, almost 90% of our expenses have been in that variable expenses category, and 11% went to bills. And that will obviously shift and change as you add more throughout the month. So one other thing I want to point out down here is this spending breakdown. And this is really nice because it is telling you how your spending is stacking up. So far, we've only made 2 transactions. We've only spent in 2 categories. And so we can see where those are. But eventually, you'll have tons and tons of categories here. So you can see, like, on rent, I'm spending 20% of my total monthly budget on rent, or I'm spending, 10% of my total monthly budget on my car payment and things like that. So this is really handy in seeing kind of how your expenses are breaking down and maybe where you can find a little bit more money from month to month. So don't ignore this chart. This is good information over here. Now let's say you get to the end of the month and you were super frugal and you had some money left over. A good place to check that out is up here in this left to spend. So let's say, we only spent $225 in this fictional month here. And so we had $1,775 left over that we can spend next month. So if you want, if it would be helpful for you and you have that money left over, once you go into February, you can go into the starting balance area and you can add that $1,775, and you'll likely have that the same number in budgeted and actual over here to the starting balance in this in these cells here, and that gives you, it adds to your amount that you have to spend throughout the month. So if you do have money left over from a previous month, you want to account for that in the current month. That starting balance, those starting balance cells over here are a great place to put them. You can project it out if you want and put a budgeted amount. If you're just rolling it over, you can just put the same number in budgeted and actual, and that will be fine. Okay, so those are all of the areas of these monthly budgeting tabs. What's really nice about this spreadsheet is that all of the information that you put on these individual monthly tabs is going to roll up into this annual dashboard here. I'm going to make this a little smaller so you can kind of see the whole thing. So you don't have to type in or alter anything on this tab at all. It's all just going to populate for you. So you'll be able to see how much income you've brought in for the whole year. You'll be able to see how much you've spent for the whole year. This net worth is hooked to the net worth calculator that I'll show you in a minute. So that's why it's saying 0 right now. But you can take a look at all of these charts. They break down all sorts of different things: income, total expenses. This one will compare your income to your expenses. And then each of the categories is broken out. It shows you how much you pay toward your debt each month, variable expenses, bills, savings. This one is going to show you, like, this one bar will be broken down and show you like how much of your total spending is going to bills, how much to variable, how much to debt, and how much to savings. And then this will tell you kind of how everything shook out with what you budgeted versus what your actual spending was for each month. So you can look into those charts a little further. One thing I did want to mention is that for some of these charts, there wasn't enough room on them to list every single item that could be represented on this chart. And so you might see these and wonder, oh, like what does that represent? I see that donut chart, but it doesn't have any labels. In order to see more information about any of these charts, what you can do is click on it. And then when you move your cursor over it, it will tell you exactly what it is. So this income breakdown chart is just saying that all of our income came from that category that we call paycheck, and it was $2,000. You can do the same thing up here in the spending. When you click on it, you can roll over and see more information about those things. And the savings one is blank. It will eventually have a donut chart too, but we didn't put anything in our savings yet, which is why that's not showing anything right there. Okay, so underneath all those charts, you will get an even further breakdown of all of your information. So this year in review kind of tallies up your income and your total expenses, but then it also breaks out those total expenses into savings, debt, variable, and bills. So you can see from month to month how you're looking, and you can also get the total in each of those categories. So your income total, total expenses total, and all of those down here at the end. So that is a really handy data point to have. Then we break it down even further. Each of those categories is going to be broken out by month as well. So you can take a look at your income and see how January compared to February compared to March and April, etc., and how that is all going to play out. And same in each of the other categories. So, you'll see your savings, you'll see your debt. You can see right here, it only has our one transaction for groceries, but you will be able by the end of the year to see how much total you spent in groceries for the entire year. That will be listed over here. And you will also be able to see how much you spent in all of your variable expenses in January down here. So it gives you a lot of information on this tab. The bills are broken out into the monthly bills are at the top. And then once I get to this line here, these are our non-monthly bills here. There are a lot of spaces. If you don't need all of these, one thing you can always do is hide some of these rows. If you're scrolling too much and you don't want to have to do that, let's say we don't need 187. So I'm going to click that number, and then I'm going to hold the shift key and click on the last row that I want to hide, which is this 221. Then, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go right here where it says hide rows. It's going to give me a warning. It's going to say, hey, this part of the spreadsheet isn't supposed to be edited. Do you still want to do this? And I do, since I'm not changing any formulas. I'm just hiding these rows because I don't need to see them right now. So I'm going to say, don't show this again for 5 minutes. And I'm going to say, okay, do that. And you can see all those blank rows went away. And now it's a lot shorter. I don't have to do all that scrolling up and down. If I wanted to get those rows back for some reason, you can see these little arrows here. I would just click on those arrows and it would pop them back out for me. So that is an option that you have there. While I'm talking about hiding parts of the spreadsheet, I also want to mention, let's say you got this spreadsheet and you are starting it in March. And so you don't really want to see January and February down here at the bottom. You can do a similar thing. You can click on this arrow right here, and it will bring this up, and you can say hide sheet, and then it tells you that sheet is hidden. So January is no longer showing at the bottom. If I want to get January back, all I do is go to this hamburger menu over here that says all sheets, and I'll click January, and it comes back for me. So that is another little tip to help you kind of navigate your spreadsheet a little more easily. Okay, so those are the budget related tabs. I promised you when we were on the setup menu that I was going to talk a little bit more about the savings and debt parts of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to bring this back to 100% so you can see this a little closer. So let's talk about the savings part first. One of the things that has been really helpful for me as I am working on my whole financial picture is to set up what are sometimes called sinking funds. And what that means is you have a specific fund set aside in a savings account. They can either be separate savings accounts or it can be all in one. It's up to you. So that you are saving for a particular thing throughout the year, rather than vacation coming in July and all of a sudden, you have a couple $1,000s extra expenses in July because you're going on vacation. Or, we know that the holidays happen every year. So rather than being hit with a couple $100 or $1,000 extra at the holiday time, we can save for that throughout the year in these sinking funds. So this second half of this savings part on the setup after this pink line is for if you choose to set up those sinking funds. So let me show you what I mean. It will make more sense once I show you how it's set up. Okay, so one of my areas I am budgeting for is vacation. So let's say my total savings goal for vacation is $2,000. That's how much I want to save up. If I already have some saved while I'm setting this up, then I can put that in here. So let's just say I have $250 saved already. I am going to put in my starting date. Let's say I'm starting on June 1st. And let's say I'm going on vacation on June 1st of next year. So I am going to say 6/1/25. And what this does here is it gives me a recommended monthly savings goal. It's saying, I'm seeing how many months you have until you want to have this amount saved. And if I divide this amount by this many months, this is what you need to save each month. So I budgeted 200, so I budgeted a little more than that amount just in case. Okay, so for Christmas, we can do the same thing. Let's say I want to save $1,000 for Christmas. My starting amount, let's say I have $300 already saved, and my start date is the same, and I want to have it saved by, December 1st. And so then this is telling me every month you need to save at least $116.67 to make it to your goal of having $1,000 by December 1st. Okay, so that is great, good information to have on here, but we also have a way to track it visually. So I'm going to go down here to the tab that says Savings and Sinking Funds and click that. And you can see that there are charts that show us all of that information that we just put in. So this is my vacation tracker. We said our starting amount was $250, so that it's showing that as the current balance. And my savings goal is $2,000, and it's telling me I have $1,750 left to save. Now, watch what happens. Let's say it is July, and I am in my transaction tracker. Let's say it's July 1st, and I have $200 that I'm going to put in my savings toward that vacation. Now, when I go over here, you can see that that amount saved has gone up to $200, and now my current balance is $450 because I started with $250. So when you make those transactions within each of those months in the tracker, it will record it here, and you will always have, that accurate balance of how much you have saved for vacation or the holidays or a new car or home repairs or whatever you want to save up for. So that has been really motivating to me. We have our sinking fund set up as automatic transfers to a savings account, so we don't even have to think about should we move the money this month? Should we not? It automatically happens, and it's really nice when vacation comes up that we can just take the money that we already have saved and use that for our vacation. So we're not digging ourselves into a hole by needing to come up with all that extra money for vacation all at once. So that is what the savings tracker or sinking fund tab on this spreadsheet does. And it's all neat and tidy and hooked into these monthly tabs that you're using already. So whenever you put those transactions in, on those monthly tabs, it will show up automatically right here for you. So that is the savings tracker. Let me go to the debt section. Now, similarly, this first part of the debt section is just for budgeting purposes. And if that's all you want to do, you can feel free to leave this other part alone. But if you could use some help coming up with a plan to pay off your debt, this spreadsheet does that as well. So first, we need to enter in some extra information here. So let's say we have this credit card. Let's say our balance is $8,000 and that minimum payment is $200. And our interest rate, let's just say it's 19%. Okay. Then we have a student loan. Let's say it has a balance of $7,000 and our minimum payment is $450 a month and our interest rate on that is 5%. Okay, so those are our two debts. We can also put in our starting date down here. So I'm going to choose June 1st. This has tallied up our total minimum payment for us. And let's say I have $100 extra each month that I'm going to throw toward this debt. I'm only putting a number in here if I am confident that every month I am going to throw that extra amount toward my debt. Okay, so with my $650 minimum payment plus my $100 extra, I'm going to end up paying $750 total toward between these two debts every month. So that's where we input our information. Now we can go down to this tab that says debt, and it has come up with a debt payoff schedule for us. Now we have two choices here. We can use the debt snowball method, or we can use the debt avalanche method. If you're not familiar, the debt snowball method has you start with the debt that has the lowest balance and pay that off first, and then move up to your debts that have higher and higher balances. Okay, the debt avalanche method has you start with the debt that has the highest interest rate and move toward the debt that has the lower interest rate. Okay, there are a bunch of pros and cons to both of these. You can kind of, as you can see, what I was doing, you can flip back and forth between the two options up here and kind of see how that changes your projected payoff date and how long it's going to take you to pay those off. If you want to learn more about the pros and cons of the debt snowball method versus the debt avalanche method, you can click over here on this link, and I have a whole blog post all about it. So you can get more information there and decide which one would be better for you. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this on the snowball method for now. And you can see it already has laid out for me, if I'm using the debt snowball method, here's how you should do it. Here's how much you should pay on your student loan in June. So this is locked. So if you ever can't tell what month it's going to, you can just slide it over. This is how much you should pay on your student loan in June. This is how much you should pay on your credit card in June. Again, these checkboxes are optional, but once you make those payments, you can just go ahead and check those off, and it crosses it out for you, kind of satisfying there. You have a couple options if you decide that you want to pay more than what you said you were going to pay. So let's just say in July, I ended up with a bonus at work, and I know that in the debt snowball method, it has me put it toward my student loan, but I really am feeling like I want to put it on this credit card instead. Okay, so what I can do for that is in my July tab, in my transaction tracker, let's just say on the 1st of July, I got a $500 bonus at work. I'm going to put it toward my debt, and I want to put it toward that credit card. Now, if we go back to the debt tracker, you can see that instead of $200 in July, it has made it $500 instead. So it's going to assume that you're making these minimum recommended payments, but if you want to make more, you can just put that in on whatever month you're making the extra payment, and it will show up on whichever debt that you put it toward. There's another way that you can put more towards your debt as well. Let's say you got that extra $500 in September, and you want the spreadsheet to apply it in the order that the debt snowball method is actually meant to go. So you can also, instead of putting it in your tracker month by month, you can also just enter it in this column here, in the plus minus column. And when you do that, it will add it to whatever current debt you are working on paying off first. So you can see I put $500 in here. It automatically added it to my student loan. Negative amounts work as well. So let's say, I know I said I was going to put an extra $100 toward my debt each month, but I really can't scrounge that up this month. Then I can go over here and I can enter negative $100. And instead of $550 for this October debt, it changes it to $450. So those are a couple kind of mechanisms that you have for adjusting the amount of your payment on your loan. It's automatically going to assume that you are making the payment that it's recommending here. But if you are making a different amount, you can go ahead and adjust that using one of those two methods. Don't do both or it will double up. But those are some options you have for making adjustments to the spreadsheet. So as kind of further encouragement to help you pay down your debt, we have an entire dashboard dedicated to your debt payoff. So on this debt payoff dashboard tab, you can see what your starting debt was, you can see what your current debt is, and you can see the total that you have paid towards your debt so far. Now, I will say that this, all the charts and graphs and things on this tab are basing the payments off of whatever today's date is. So if you are just starting out on repaying your debts and you say, okay, I'm going to start on the 1st of next month, and you put the 1st of next month in as your starting date, and you come over to this debt payoff tab and these show errors and you're like, oh no, I broke the spreadsheet. You didn't break the spreadsheet. It's just because your starting date is in the future. The spreadsheet knows what day it is. So once you hit the day that you said on the spreadsheet that you were going to start, then these charts will populate for you. So don't panic if you don't see anything right away. It's just maybe because your start date is in the future. And once that start date comes, then these will start to populate for you. And all the sections up here will start working as well. Okay, so here you can see the progress for each debt. As you pay it down, this light pink color will take over, and this dark pink color, you'll be able to see it go down and down and down. These are for each debt individually. This donut chart is keeping track of your total payoff progress. So this dark bit will get bigger and bigger and bigger as you get closer to paying off both of these debts here. And then here you can kind of see the duration and what it's going to look like. Right now, this is where we are in June. And then by January of 2026, we'll be super close to paying off all of our debts. This also gives you kind of your finish line down here. You have 21 months until your payoff, and you should expect to be debt free in March of 2026. So this tab is kind of fun and motivating. You don't need to type in anything on it. All of this is going to populate automatically for you, but it serves as extra motivation so you can see how far you've come and how close you are to being debt free. So we've covered almost everything. There's one more tab, and that is the net worth calculator. And as you can see, these are the kind of errors that I'm talking about. If you see these on that debt payoff dashboard, don't panic, they'll fill in. Same with this. This is just saying it doesn't have any information to go off of yet. So the spreadsheet isn't broken, it just doesn't have any data. So let me make that a little smaller. The net worth calculator is something that you are going to update manually every month. It's the one tab that is not really interconnected with these monthly tabs. You are going to come in here and enter your information separately. So in the net worth calculator, the first thing you are going to want to do is set a net worth goal. So let's just say my net worth goal is $500,000. So you can type that right in there, and then this will once we put in our information, these calculations will start to go for us. So let's just say, first we're going to come down and put in our assets. So that can be cash or bank accounts you have. It can be investment accounts. It can be a property. So let's say we have a house and it is worth $250,000. If you're not sure how much your house is worth, one way to get kind of a ballpark estimate is if you go to Zillow.com, Zillow.com, and type in your address, it will give you what they call a Zestimate of what your house is worth in today's market. So if you're not sure of your house's value, you can go check it there. So let's just say I have that, and let's just say I have a retirement account and it has $50,000 in it. Okay, so you can see my net worth is starting to populate up here. Based on those two pieces of information alone, it's saying that my net worth is $300,000 and I made 60% progress toward my goal. However, I haven't put in my liabilities yet. So down in this pink section here, we're going to put in our liabilities. So let's say the house is worth $250,000, but we still have a loan on the house, a mortgage on the house, and we still owe $100,000 on the mortgage. We would put that in our liabilities. Let's just say we also have credit card debts of, what did we say on our other tab? Around $8,000. And so we're going to put that in there. So now if we go back up to the top, you can see it has adjusted our net worth to $192,000. You can see we're 38% of the way toward our goal of $500,000. And you can see it has started to kind of fill in this distribution of our assets, the distribution of our liabilities. And if, let's say, I'm going to put in another month. Let's say we grew our retirement account to $55,000. And our house is still worth $250,000. And let's see, we paid down $1,000 on our credit card, so now we only owe $7,000. And we paid a little bit on our house, so now we only owe $98,000. If we go back up here, you can see that from January to February, you can see our net worth grew a little bit, and this is starting to track our assets up here and our liabilities down here. You can see our assets started to grow a little bit and our liabilities started to go down a little bit. And that will continue to change as you go throughout the year. So that is the annual budget and finance spreadsheet. I hope this will be helpful for you as you continue to work on your financial picture and pay off debt and save more money and do all of those fun adulting things. We can't make smart decisions with our money unless we have data and information. And this spreadsheet is even maybe a fun way to get that data and information so we can get a better idea of where we stand and where we want to be. So I hope this was helpful. If you have other questions, we have a frequently asked questions doc, so you can check that out. It is linked on the first tab of this spreadsheet. And I hope that you have fun with the annual budget spreadsheet. Have a great day.